Yo, so guys, welcome back to another video, and I am back. I am still ill. I mentioned in my last videos about 4 days ago that I think I got COVID, and yeah, it's annoying because I was already ill about 2 weeks ago, and then I got sick again. But if you hear me sniffling and stuff, you know how it is. I've got a blocked nose, so yeah, it is what it is. But we are reacting to the real reason unemployment is so scary, and obviously, based off the title, unemployment is one of those things that is scary. You know that, but I guess this is going to go into the more in-depth reasons as to why it happens and why unemployment will rise at certain points and then go back down or whatever. But yeah, obviously it's scary. I mean, if you're someone who's not employed, you're not working, of course it's a scary thing. But I guess, yeah, it's going to go more in depth into certain things. I don't know, but I'm assuming that's the case. But we're going to get into this. Hopefully going to enjoy. Links are in the description to my Patreon if you want to see some more of my reactions. Again, I haven't posted for 4 to 5 days now, so if you want to see some more of my older reactions or just reactions to things that I can't post to YouTube, links are in the description to my Patreon. But God, it's hard to talk when you've got a blocked nose. I need to get a tissue, but I'll wait until this video is over. But yeah, let's jump into this.
Unemployment rates,
Unemployment.
Catastrophe of unemployment.
Unemployment.
Fear of unemployment.
Unemployment. Something we hear a lot about.
Unemployment rate.
Unemployment rate. Unemployment rate. Unemployment rate.
It's in the news. Politicians are always talking about it.
Unemployment rate.
Unemployment rate.
Unemployment rate.
Basically, whenever we talk about the economy, unemployment is a part of the conversation. But it seems kind of simple, right? Like, isn't it just a measure of how many people can't find jobs? So why have I decided to make an entire video about it? Well, because behind this definition, there is something much bigger going on, something that teaches us about the inner workings of the economy.
Unemployment remains a serious problem.
Unemployment is where the cold, rational mechanics of economics meets the aspirations and disappointments of millions of people. And it shows us how our capitalistic system can succeed and fail in allocating the most important of its resources, its people.
Unemployment.
The unemployment rate.
Unemployment? It's okay, I got options. Unemployment.
Financial crisis.
It's going to be a weird video. I don't even know what you could talk about when it comes to unemployment. I know it happens like when there's recessions and there's always unemployment in certain regions and stuff. But like, as a general thing, obviously it's scary, but I don't know what details it's going to go into to explain certain things.
Let's go. So we hear this word economy all the time, but what exactly is an economy? Think of the economy as a set of rules, relationships, and patterns that help huge groups of people that don't know each other somehow peacefully coordinate with one another. All of this with the aim of allocating scarce resources in an efficient way that theoretically should benefit everyone. We all live and participate in an economy that somehow mostly works. Somehow, all of us billions of people manage to coordinate with each other to produce, to innovate, to push the productive boundaries of society forward. But none of this complex coordination would be possible without one key ingredient. It's the number that you see everywhere you go. This key ingredient is prices.
For $7.99. Bigger.
One with each $1.99 hamper.
$9.20 for $5.99 only at KFC.
Prices are not just prices. Like, it's not just a number to be like, that's how much it costs. Prices are like telephone wires in the economy. They're like the lighthouse that sends out a signal to make the whole thing work. Anyone who didn't study economics is like, wait, it's just prices. Why are you calling it a lighthouse? When I was studying econ, this prices are a signal thing was really hard to get my head around. But I now understand that prices are the glue of the economy, the mechanism through which the market organizes itself so that millions of people can make billions of decisions in a harmonious way. To see what I mean, and to figure out what this has to do with unemployment, which is why you clicked on this video, let's go back to the neighborhood that helped us understand what a recession is in our last econ video that we make. Yes, I make macroeconomic videos now because the people seem to like it and I seem to like it. So we're all happy. And let's once again focus on baguettes because I like French bread and I lament the fact that my country doesn't have enough of it.
I have a baguette over there too.
Do you?
Yeah, I bought one very coincidentally.
You have a baguette in this studio right now?
Yeah, it's in my kitchen.
Not only do you have animation, you have a real baguette that I may nibble on throughout this video. Okay. Let's go to the neighborhood. Okay, so we're in this neighborhood, and baguettes are actually becoming a cool thing. They're trending. Everyone's talking about baguettes. And this one bakery is pumping out delicious artisan baguettes for your neighborhood. These baguettes are like $3 a piece, which is a nice, affordable price. More and more people are showing up to buy them. But the bakery has a problem. They only have capacity to make 20 baguettes per day. But because baguettes are trending, 30 people want to buy baguettes at $3 a piece. So what does the baker do to fix this? I know, says the baker, let's raise prices. The baker realizes that because of all this demand, they can raise prices from $3 to $4, and that's exactly what he does. And boom, they just sent out a signal to the entire neighborhood. Baguettes are trending in the neighborhood. The baker thinks that people are willing to pay $4. Of the 30 people who were in line to buy the baguettes back when they were $3, 10 of them shake their head. They're like, no way, Jose, $4 is way too spendy for a baguette. These 10 neighbors either can't afford or are not willing to pay $4 for a baguette. But look, 20 of them are either fancy rich people or just really love baguettes, and they're willing to stay in that line to pay $4 for their baguettes. Oh, and look, remember that the baker is only able to make exactly 20 baguettes to meet the 20 baguettes demanded by the people who are willing to pay $4. Prices did that. I mean, in reality, the baker didn't raise prices just so that he could create a nice equilibrium between supply and demand. He did it because he saw an opportunity to make more money. But in the process, he found a price that matched his 20 baguettes to 20 people who were willing to buy them. Nothing goes to waste, everyone is happy, and the invisible hand has done its work. Thank you, Adam Smith. Now, inevitably, some entrepreneur is going to show up and be like, oh, there's a profit-making opportunity in this neighborhood. They're going to open a bakery, and now the bakery is making like 50 baguettes and competing with the other bakery, and both these bakeries will eventually have to lower their prices so that more people can get in on these baguettes, so they can get rid of all their baguettes, and baguettes eventually will stabilize to $2.50 or $3. And now the prices have been stabilized. Thank you, competition, for keeping prices low. My point in talking over supply and demand here is
That's a good show, actually. Competition keeping the prices low. Yeah, that does make sense, obviously, because the more of it that's produced, the lower the price will be. But if it's just one person, you're going to make a lot more money individually, but people are going to have to spend a lot more money as well.
So that when you see the little price tag on like a box of cereal in the grocery store, just know that this isn't the company just throwing out a random number. That number, in a sense, has been decided for the company by the magic of the economy that pushes prices to be just where they need to be to connect all the stuff available to the number of people who are willing to pay for it. There's all sorts of caveats to this. Prices can sometimes create really bad outcomes for people. What I'm trying to convey here is that prices are the language that businesses use to communicate with consumers, a signal that conveys information and makes it possible for billions of people to organize and trade with each other. Thank you, prices. Thank you, market.
Speaking of prices and markets, I'm a small business owner.
Got an ad? Oh, is it an ad?
You also get free postage and
I
haven't gone back. Thank you, Stamps.com, for sponsoring today's video, supporting this channel. Let's get back to unemployment.
Getting his money.
The market works because of prices. Okay, so what happens when you apply the same market logic, not just to baguettes and cereal, but to the most important resource of all, the people? In economics, we call the people labor. We are all just labor. And instead of prices, we call it wages, like how much you get paid for your labor. But the dynamic is really similar. When companies in an economy need workers with certain skills, they go shopping for labor by posting a job and deciding how much they are willing to pay for that job in the form of wages. Okay, so now we're in a market. And once again, prices or wages help match up jobs demanded by the job hunters with jobs supplied by the companies looking for labor. If a company has a lot of money or really needs workers, they can offer a high wage. Like back in our neighborhood where baguettes are trending and the baker is making great profits and they need help making more baguettes. Who is willing to pay really well. And he quickly attracts people with the right skills and the job is filled. Prices or wages have once again served as a great matchmaker in the economy. And thanks to this labor market dynamic, more high quality baguettes will be produced with the energy and talent of different people. The productive frontiers of the economy are pushed forward. People have jobs. The economy is growing. Okay, wait, let's just look at real life for a second. I love the animated world, it's beautiful, but like the labor market works in real life and it's kind of nuts. Like, have you ever wondered how on earth you can walk into like a pharmacy and there will be people behind the counter who have exactly the special training needed to be there? Not just in one pharmacy, but in every pharmacy in your city, every pharmacy in the country. All of these people were somehow physically distributed throughout the whole country to meet the demand for pharmacists. In order for these pharmacists to end up at all of these different pharmacies, they had to spend years studying and training, and then they had to take the job and potentially move to a new place to start working there. And no one overtly told them to do this. Like years ago, they decided they wanted to study to be a pharmacist. And then they eventually graduated and they found a job, and maybe they had to move across the country. And that's one person's journey. Now times that by every pharmacist in every pharmacy, and now times that by every architect and doctor and engineer and x-ray technician and molecular biologist and speech pathologist and school teacher and police officer, and somehow human beings are being distributed like baguettes. How on earth does that happen? It's thanks to markets and prices, and that's the moral of the story. Humans are basically like baguettes who get allocated throughout the economy based on price signals, allowing for a perfect pairing of people and jobs, and not a single person can't find a job. Womp, womp, womp. Not so fast, free market. Free market economics does miraculously work quite well to get people paired up with jobs all over this country and world. But no, people are not baguettes. They can't just be quickly allocated around based on the economy's needs. Sometimes the market fails us. And when it does, we have unemployment.
You had about 6 million people in the country unemployed. Now you have 12 million people in the country unemployed.
People are complex. We have different talents, dreams, aspirations, and the jobs we take are some of the biggest decisions of our lives. There are way more factors at play than just how much the job pays. The vastness of human experience doesn't always coordinate perfectly with the immediate needs of a market, which only cares about efficiently allocating a scarce resource. And this gets to one really important version of unemployment. Economists call this natural unemployment. It's an acknowledgement that even in the best of times, there will always be certain job seekers who aren't working because they had to go back and get certain training, or they have skills that are no longer super relevant to the economy, so they have to pivot. Or in a lot of cases, they aren't willing to move across the country far away from family to take a job that pays well, but maybe doesn't align with their values or whatever. Meaning it happens because humans are just being complex humans, making important decisions. And the result is that some portion of the population will not be able to find a job. Productive resources of the economy sit idle, and we have unemployment, natural unemployment. Here's what the US natural employment over the last 70 years has looked like. It sort of hovers between 4 to 7%, which means that at any given point, somewhere between 6 and 7 million people want a job but can't find one just because the economy is always changing, and the skills that are needed are always changing, and humans are complicated and not baguettes, and finding new jobs is a big deal. That's natural unemployment. And it's the one that you never hear about. No one cares about it. It is natural, it is a part of our economy. We kind of forget about it. The type of unemployment that we talk about a lot is the one I'm about to talk about. But first, I have to mention two things that don't get measured in any of this. First is the fact that sometimes you have a situation where pharmacists can't find a job because there's no jobs available. All the pharmacies have the pharmacist.
Really, I thought being a pharmacist, you're guaranteed work just because it's one of those jobs that's you have to study a lot for it. It's pretty hard to get to that point to become a pharmacist. So the fact that you might not even have work as a pharmacist is pretty wild to me.
They need. So now you've got this pharmacist who's like teaching tennis because they can't find a job for what they were trained in. This is called underemployment, and it's really hard to measure. And quickly, the other thing is that when we measure employment, all of these graphs, we're only measuring work that makes money for the economy. There are millions of people in the US doing unpaid but highly economically valuable work, mostly caring for people. I'm talking about parents. So anyway, underemployment and not paying caretakers is a whole other topic, and I can make a whole video about that. Let's get to the unemployment that we always hear about.
In the USA, another 2.4 million people have filed for unemployment benefits in the past week. More than 38 million people have now lost their jobs.
The unemployment that news anchors and politicians freak out about looks like this.
Unemployment numbers are rising.
This is the worst crisis they've faced.
Shock and panic.
These are the worst layoffs the country has seen since the Great Depression.
This is called cyclical unemployment, and it's a part of that mysterious pattern that we talked about in the recession video, where seemingly, inevitably, and unpredictably, shocks come blowing through our economy every few years, throwing off the nice balance that markets are supposed to trend towards. Demand in your industry falls, your company can no longer afford to pay you, you get fired, you're freaked out, and without a paycheck, you're not able to spend money economy, which means that the other companies are losing revenue and they have to lay off their people, and the cycle continues and continues.
The housing market collapse created one financial crisis after another.
This is cyclical unemployment. This cycle is at the heart of why recessions happen. It's like a dangerous avalanche of capitalist economies. And because we workers are treated like baguettes put into a market where there's supply and demand, we get hit by this too. But remember that the worst thing that can happen to a baguette is that it will sit unsold and uneaten on this shelf getting stale. I mean, you can make some good croutons out of those. I'm not complaining. But humans aren't baguettes.
Wait, a crouton stale? What?
Baguettes. When humans are an unused resource in an economy, that means suffering and misery and anxiety and worry. You didn't do anything wrong. You got your training, you got your job, you followed your dreams, the economy even allocated you to a good fit, but now suddenly you're out of work because everyone around you is losing income. The GDP line is going down. And like I explained in the recession video, when this line goes down in a capitalist economy, bad things happen. There's a certain paradox to all of this. An economy in a recession is an economy starving of new talent, new output. And yet during these spikes, when we're in recession, all of the people that could be contributing to it are sitting idle, unable to find a job in a system that failed them and failed to coordinate in the worst way possible. Ultimately, economies exist to help people prosper. So when an economy produces all of this misery, it's really failing, which is why in a lot of countries, the government has tools to step in and help, both to reduce the suffering, but also to ensure that this cycle doesn't gain momentum and turn the whole thing into an anxiety-ridden chaos, which, whether we want to think so or not, is an option here. Economies do collapse because there is momentum when all of this anxiety starts to spread and people stop spending money and people keep losing their jobs. Governments often have to step in and help pump the brakes. So even during the good times, the government will step in and support unemployed people. And during the bad times, unemployment becomes especially vital for keeping the economy from collapsing. I mean, we saw this during COVID. Unemployment skyrocketed, and the government had to scramble to send us all money so that we would keep spending, even if we just got fired from our job.
Really? That's crazy. That's the whole reasoning as to why they'll help you to keep spending money to, I guess, stop further unemployment happening because businesses will fail and stuff like that.
Jobs. In Europe and Japan and Korea, they did it a little bit differently. They actually paid the employers to just not fire people. Either way, the government did this not only to alleviate the immediate suffering of the people who were losing their jobs, but also to avoid the vicious cycle.
Unveiled a nearly $2 trillion COVID-19 relief plan on Thursday, urging lawmakers to act fast and jumpstart an economy pummeled by the pandemic.
The upshot here is that unemployment is both complicated and incredibly high stakes. It's unpredictable. We can't really stop it, or at least we haven't figured out how to yet. Not only because it deals with complicated human lives that have a capacity for suffering, but also because at the end of the day, we humans aren't just participants in the economy, we are the economy in a very real sense. Our mass psychology dictates how this all plays out. And because we are all tied into this together, no single one of us has total control over our own situation, which is an incredibly scary thing to think about, so don't think about it too much. It's a sort of Faustian bargain that we've made, and for most of us, it's worth it. Incredible opportunity for prosperity in exchange for surrendering some control of our situation. So we do this as one giant connected group, working hard to coordinate with each other, using the language of prices and wages, with the hope of procuring and providing resources for ourselves and our family. And this is why politicians and the news talk about unemployment all the time. It's because our jobs are not baguettes. Our work is a huge part of our lives, and yet they are not guaranteed. So supporting jobs, job security, job well-being, and solid employment truly is one of the most important things a government can and should do for its people. Okay, done.
Sweet.
Well, damn.
I'm just gonna be a chaotic man for a second. Okay.
So, whoa, hi. Whew, unemployment. Hope you understand more about that topic. I hope everyone's liking these macroeconomics explainers. There's so many.
I do like them, to be fair. They're interesting. It's different, and it's stuff that I find quite fascinating because I don't really know much about it without this sort of stuff being on YouTube, you know. Humans aren't baguettes, Johnny Harris. But yeah, unemployment, obviously, everyone knows it's a scary thing. It's one of those things that can ruin lives, you know. So I mean, yeah, that's obvious, but I guess the reasonings and when it happens, like, it's sort of, there's things that lead up to it and stuff like that. And also the idea that the government will give businesses money, or had given businesses money, to stop the companies from firing people, or they give people money, obviously, if they get fired, to help the economy, like, so people can still spend money. It's fascinating how it all works, but it all makes sense. And yeah, it's just one of those things that I guess will just always happen, but I guess maybe in future there'll be better ways to combat it. I don't know, but yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this reaction, and yeah, until next time, like, subscribe, and peace.